Bitcoin is on the edge of doing something potentially catastrophic in this market, so I've got to break this down for you. I want to talk to you about what reaction rallies look like, because now I think Bitcoin is right on the brink of potentially dropping back down below this $56,000 level. We've actually already done that. We're just below it at the moment. And I want to break down for you why. And the key idea here revolves around this whole concept of reaction rallies, right? We're trending downwards in this case. We form a reaction rally to the upside, and then it ends and we come back down. And the key thing that I need to focus your attention on is that when we form this reaction rally, essentially what we're doing is we're giving a market a break from trading at the low, which means that anybody who wants to potentially buy Bitcoin and make the wrong decision in a downtrend, because if you're buying Bitcoin on these rallies, you're going to lose money. Buying Bitcoin on this rally, you're going to lose money. Potentially the same case right here. It's giving those people a chance to enter some of their trades. It's also giving people a chance to potentially exhaust some of the supply. But the issue is that when you're in a pre-existing downtrend and you come back down to these lows, obviously people are going to be quite bearish, and that's where you potentially sweep the low the second time that you hit the low. So I'll give you some examples of this, right? If we take a look at this on the 15-minute time frame and we look at this from the all-time high that Bitcoin set going back just a week and a half ago, no, 2 weeks ago now. Okay. Bitcoin sets a low right here at 62.8, roughly $62,000, let's just say. And then we end up forming the reaction rally to the upside. But the next time that we come back down to trade at this level, we fail and we fall lower. Again, we see this in downtrends all the time. Take a look at this. Bitcoin forms a low. The lowest low that Bitcoin forms on this drop right here is at about 58.4. Take a look at this. We form this low. We start forming our reaction rally back up. The next time we trade back at this level, we sweep the low. And again, I think we could be looking at the same thing happening right now. Now, I've only shown you 2 examples of where this has happened, but there are so many more that I can show you. It's the typical situation that we see in pretty much any downtrend, right? Look at this right here. Here's another example. We set the low right here when Bitcoin crashes from 53 down to 43 in one straight leg. It was a big $10,000 crash. Bitcoin formed a big reaction rally here, which lasted, quite a few days, from the 7th of September all the way up to the 18th of September. So this was a good 10-11 day correction. But then the next time we trade at this price, we sweep that low. So, this is basically an indication where we set one low. We don't want to be going back there. But look at the situation that Bitcoin is in right now. When we're in a pre-existing downtrend and we're right back at the previous low that we already set, we're potentially getting ready to sweep it. And what concerns me right now is that, if we're not going to sweep the low, we're probably going to get a bounce really quickly, which is what we did, right? Take a look at this. We fell down pretty quickly, and pretty quickly we managed to rise back up, but this rise did not hold. Bitcoin was only able to rise up by about 2.8%, which was not a huge increase from there, and now we're right back down to the same levels again. This is telling me that Bitcoin is potentially right now gravitating to the same area of support, being pulled back to the same area of support, which is, let me just read the number, $55,800 roughly. So really, we have no leeway left. There's like $120 and we're at the bottom of the support. And Bitcoin's just being pulled right back there. And, this would be fine if we had a strong area of support like right here. If Bitcoin was, constantly attacking this level like we are right now, I would be okay with it, because this area of support is much stronger than where we are right now. Because if we take a look at this orange line basically tells us the current price of Bitcoin. If we trace this back historically, there isn't much significant price action that takes place right around here. The key reversal points we can see from earlier this year would be around, let me just drop some lines for you so we can really put this into perspective. That's my phone going off. Let me just put this into perspective for you so we can take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin here. All of the key reversal points, they're not really where the price is trading at right now. Keep an eye on this orange dotted line and look at where the current price of Bitcoin is. We're not forming reversals. There's a small reversal that happens right here. Some small rejection hits, but nothing big, right? We're only getting the big reversals like this. Look at this big pump coming off this red line, this big pump coming off this red line. You're basically starting to see that at this price level, we don't have a lot of very significant turning points in the market. And so to me, that means that this can't be strong support. That's what I find slightly concerning right here. You know, if we don't have a key reversal point to be finding support, well, then I think we're going to fall down to the next area where we do have key reversal points, because these are psychologically charged levels in the market. So to see that we're now dropping back down to this area of support, and to now know that this isn't actually super strong support in the first place anyway, you know, on the way up, I want you guys to keep in mind Bitcoin was consolidating around here and finding a little bit of resistance, but not for long. Bitcoin hit this area for resistance right here, and we broke it as resistance within 4.5 days, a little bit, yeah, just around 4.5 days. Bitcoin managed to break it, and it immediately started to rise back up. Now, we did fall back down to this level and we found support, so it is good. And this shows me that actually this whole support range for the local, you know, recent price action probably forms all the way down to 54,000. But this comes into my next idea where, you know, I mean, this is all the short-term bearish stuff. You know, what I need you guys to keep in mind right now, and what I showed you with just Lux Algo yesterday, is that you know, the longer term charts, if we look at the daily time frame with the beautiful Ichimoku cloud, there is so much support. Bitcoin is like in the support right now. So, you know, longer term charts still look really healthy. Weekly chart looks really, really good. I mean, we did have a big bearish engulfing candle right here, which engulfed the past 1, 2, 3, 4 candles of price action. So this was a bad weekly candle, but broadly speaking, we're essentially making one big move up, a nice correction, one big move up, a nice correction, right? So from the weekly time frame, this chart looks super, super bullish. From the daily time frame, this chart looks super, super bearish. But when we zoom in a little bit more, it's very clear to me, in my opinion, that we still have potentially quite a little bit more to drop in the short term. Even on the daily time frame, we can see that right here, because if you look at the way this Ichimoku cloud is formed, the top of our support cloud right now is at $55,800, which is exactly the support level I was telling you about. The key bounce zones on the Ichimoku cloud are the green line right here at the top and the red line at the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud. These are the key levels you can expect reversals at. Obviously, they can happen anywhere in the cloud, but this is a really big range. We can measure it. It's a really, really big range. It stretches up by about 14%, and it goes all the way down to $48,000, which is still definitely potentially a good area of support. But you're starting to see now how, you know, Bitcoin definitely, you know, it can stay bullish if it drops a lot, even on the weekly time frame, right? It's not in a super, super good place there. And if we take a look at the 4-hour time frame, we look at some of the momentum indicators, we can see some very, very clear rejections right now. This is exactly what I was warning you guys about. It's the same thing on the Coinbase chart, ladies and gents. I was telling you guys this just yesterday. Smash the like button if you found that video useful. You guys have been showing so much love on this YouTube channel. I love you all so much. Thank you very, very much for that. And of course, if you're enjoying this content and you want to see more of it, you want to guarantee that you can see more of it, because otherwise YouTube might not recommend it to you. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're ticking that bell icon as well, so you get notified whenever I make these videos as well. If you want some free money to trade in these markets, then check out the link in the description to sign up to Bybit. Down below, you're going to get up to $3,500 completely free of charge just by using my sign up link and making your first Bitcoin deposit. So definitely check that out. That's up to $3,500 for doing a few clicks. Pause the video here and you can go ahead and take advantage of that. But moving back to the chart right here, we hit this area of resistance, and again, just exactly as predicted, guys, it was resistance, and a lot of people really didn't like the ideas I was talking about right here, which is exactly why I knew these were popular. Guys, I need you to really step outside of your comfort zone. Bitcoin's just potentially about to drop that support level right now. I need you guys to really step outside of your comfort zone and really, you know, take a third-person view of how you are thinking in these markets, right? As we approach resistance levels, of course, people are going to be the most bullish, but if you know anything about these markets and you're able to keep a distance emotionally from the market, you're going to know that at resistance levels is precisely where the market tends to top, and at support levels is precisely where the market tends to bottom and then rally up. The issue here, of course, is that we've already used the support level twice, and like I said, when we form a support level and we form a reaction rally up, which is obviously a reaction rally, in fact, I would go as far as saying this is a relief rally, because the dump was very strong and then we had a little bit of relief. And I was telling you guys this with numbers. I'm not just pulling this out of my ass and speculating here. There's real numbers backing this. I showed you a little bit about the funding rates. They didn't really back up my argument, but they definitely weren't bearish. They definitely weren't bullish either. I also showed you the fear and greed index, and take a look at this. We're now falling right back into fear. Look at this, ladies and gents. Bitcoin falling down to a reading of 33, 34, and then for the next 3 days trending up. People people are feeling relieved. They're at first feeling very fearful with a reading of 34. As we get closer to 50 and then eventually hit 50, we're back into neutral territory on the fear and greed index. So as Bitcoin is rising up towards resistance, you're starting to see again how the majority of the market gets fucked because they don't understand these basic concepts, or perhaps they do but they don't want to internalize them. They don't want to pay attention to them because they've got their biases here which they can't shake, and obviously that makes things very, very dangerous for them. That makes it very difficult for them to retain perspective in these markets. And so that's definitely something which you guys need to keep in mind, right? As we were rising up to this level, I was showing you that people were feeling more and more relief, and now you can see we've dropped to fearful levels that we haven't seen over the past month. I mean, we literally haven't been this fearful in the market for a very, very long time, which again, on the longer term time frames is very, very healthy. We need people to not be super bullish as we approach these levels, because otherwise everybody's going to be going long, and if everybody is going to be going long, the market's just not going to have a chance to rise up. It's just generally how it goes. 90% of people will lose 90% of their money in the first 90 days that they start trading, and my objective here is always to distance myself emotionally from these markets, because everyone thinks that they have the edge, but realistically they don't, because they're looking for thrills, they're looking for emotional highs and lows. They want the dopamine kicks. They're junkies. They are literally junkies in these markets. And what I'm trying to do is not get my emotional highs and lows from the market. I'm just trying to make some cash. And as much as everybody would tell you that that's their perspective as well, realistically, if you look at people's actions and you see that people know that this is an area of resistance, because we knew this was an area of resistance. This was very obvious. I was outlining it to you guys on this YouTube channel for days before we even dropped down to this level. When we were trading all the way up here, I was warning you guys about Bitcoin potentially finding resistance right here. And if you still ignored it, you're clearly in here for hope, and you may as well be buying lottery tickets at this point. Because you're not doing yourself any good if you're ignoring reality in such a way. So there you go, potentially getting ready to sweep these lows. So what happens if we do? Well, like I said, there's a lot of support on the larger time frames, but I need to start looking at support below us right now on these shorter time frame charts that we have right here, right? So I'm seeing potentially a little bit of support around this $55,000 level, which we're about $900 away from right now. Then a little bit more at about $53,000. I think that would make a lot of sense in this market right here, this $53,000 level, because it's exactly where Bitcoin peaked before. And so it would make a lot of sense for Bitcoin to come back down to this level to confirm it as support and then start rallying back up. I also think that if we look at the fear and greed index right now at a reading of 33, if we fell down to $53,000 right now, this would probably drop into extremely fearful territory. And the other thing that I want to do is start painting Fibonacci retracements for you guys, so we can look at, you know, where some of these magical numbers, because they do work like magical numbers as far as I'm concerned. They are scarily accurate. I want to see where they land up. And of course the 382 retracement just exactly at the bottom of the box that I drew, not at 53 but at $54,000 instead. This is previously where the wick on Gemini fell down to. Now, this wick was not printed on other exchanges, so I'm not using this as you know, super strong analysis. But the Fibonacci retracement definitely showing us that there is potentially some support for Bitcoin to find at the $54,000 level. A little bit lower than that, I'm looking at 44.5. I think that would be really, really nice. But realistically, I think Bitcoin is not going to be able to drop down that low. It would be really weird if we did. We would be failing all support. Like every single support would be lost at that point, maybe other than the weekly time frame. That would be a very, very brutal pullback. I don't think that's going to happen. Would be fun if it did, but I don't think we're actually going to be falling that low. And then the other Fibonacci retracement I want to show you guys is just coming off these lows right here. Where do we have the Fibonacci retracements here? So the 382 level, definitely very important, 58.5. You can see how we already retraced back down to this level and got a bounce up. We've now found resistance here, so it's telling us that this is a very, very accurate Fibonacci retracement. This is showing us that support we could find could hover around the $52,000 level, which is, yeah, I mean, it kind of falls in line with my 53K prediction. This 618 level I think could be very, very important, because the 382 level was very, very important, right? Look at this, Bitcoin rallying up really, really nicely. Where does it find support? At the 382 line. Then it sets its all-time high, it falls down. Where does it find resistance? At the same 382 line. So if the 382 line is very reliable, well then generally the 618 line is also going to be very reliable. And the reason for that is if you just do the simple math, just demonstrate this for you guys right now, the 0.382 level is a mirror image of the 0.618 level. One takeaway, 0.382 equals 0.618, and so these are essentially mirrors of each other. If I drew this Fibonacci in the opposite direction, let me just draw a line here so you can see exactly where the new 382 line would be. I'm just showing you how this math plays out because a lot of people don't understand TA and then they say that it doesn't work, but realistically it's probably just because you're doing bad TA, and I'm here to prove that to you so you can see now how the 382 level lining up exactly where the 618 level was. So you know, if you draw these fibs in reverse, you start to see the same thing, and I think that's very important to keep in mind, right? Just so that we can retain some perspective on the market. I think that in terms of dropping lower, you know, this kind of thing would definitely print a lot of fear in the market. Again, the issue with the Bitcoin is going to be facing if we drop down to these levels again, which I've been saying all the time since Bitcoin is trading all the way up here, is that if we do start rising back up, we're going to find resistance at higher levels again, and that's what I find difficult for Bitcoin right now. And it's the same thing I've been saying for a while, and it's exactly what's been happening in the market. I was telling you guys that if we drop below these levels, we're going to find resistance in this range, and look at what happened right here. We did, and we're now potentially getting ready to sweep the prior low. The final thing that I want to talk to you about is the bullish case, because it isn't all bearish. There's still a bullish case to be made, and the key thing that I want to draw your attention to is that Bitcoin could actually find support here. It looks like it wants to, because usually if we fall down to these lows, we're going to sweep them straight away, and we didn't sweep it straight away. Now we are just trading at the low right now, but the fact that we're not getting a vicious dump to me tells me that this could be up in the air just a little bit. I'm not going to draw any conclusions on this. I'm not in a trade right now, and I don't want to be in a trade right now. I want to see how this plays out. But if Bitcoin did end up trading in a sideways trading range, don't be surprised if we found resistance up at the top again and traded sideways again. This could just turn into a larger correction, which remains bearish. Please keep that in mind right here. Again, a lot of people, if Bitcoin swings back up to this level, are going to become very bullish. You don't become bullish at resistance levels, right? It definitely shows us that we have a little bit of strength if we manage to rise up to those levels. That's fine, and that's what I was talking to you guys about in the last video. Again, these videos, they're not about me telling you what I think is going to happen for sure. It's about me explaining to you where I think the probabilities in these markets are. Very, very key, distinct difference that I need you guys to keep in mind. So right there, I think Bitcoin potentially having a path. I'm getting so many distractions in this video right now. Bitcoin potentially getting ready to trade sideways, I think would also make a little bit of sense. And that's the only bullish argument that I see for Bitcoin right now, is Bitcoin potentially trading sideways, finding some support off this level, potentially finding resistance up here. And another reason that I think we might find resistance up there is if we look at the 4-hour Ichimoku cloud, look at this now. This is the same thing I was warning you guys about, guys. Bitcoin had a window of opportunity right here to pump up, but it didn't take it. So if Bitcoin gets a really big pump up now, it's going to find resistance on what I would call this mid-term time frame. The 4-hour time frame, to me, that's more of a mid-term time frame. 1 hour is short-term, 1 day is long-term for me. Anyway, depending on, you know, going with how I define these markets, because crypto moves really, really quickly, right? For any other market, long-term would be 1 week, for example. Short-term might even be 1 day in other markets. But because crypto moves so quickly, to me, the 4-hour time frame is a very important mid-term time frame. And if we start rising up now, there is a lot of resistance. Bitcoin lost its bullish window of opportunity for the short-term chart right here. Does it mean that Bitcoin absolutely cannot pump up? No way. Bitcoin definitely can still pump up, but of course, it depends on, you know, how much strength we carry up on the way there. And then the other thing that I got to remind you guys about is that there's still a lot of EMA resistance right here on the 4-hour time frame. It's coming down. It's going to keep being a problem for Bitcoin. Bitcoin right now has space to rise up to about $59,000 with this resistance right now, but that's about it in my opinion. On the daily time frame, we also have daily EMA resistance. It's just not looking good. There's so much resistance. You know, I see a lot of people saying that, you know, I must be going short in this market, which is very funny because I actually did have a short position outlined inside of 4Fly's VIP and I would have entered it, but last minute, I can't believe it. I want to smack my head against the fucking wall. Right around here, my short position would have been entered. My stop loss was at about over here, so I would have stayed in that trade, but on this big candle here, I got scared and I removed the order. So if I was in that short position right now, it was a 10 times leverage trade, 10x leverage trade. My entry was 59.6. Someone was saying I must be going short. It was sad for me to read that comment because I know he was making fun out of me, but I would be in a beautiful 62% profit right now. And really, I mean, I would gladly take a hammer right now and fucking smash my head in for that bad decision making. I should not have been subject to the FOMO, but this is one of the key things I tell you guys about is, look, I'm a human too. I'm a trader. I'm subject to the same fear of missing out and irrational decisions that the rest of you are. I just tend to control it more than most people. This was an example where I basically decided that, look, I would rather not be in the trade than I'd rather not risk any money is what I'm saying than potentially risk money and this thing goes wrong. That's always my perspective. I always lean on the safer side, and this is why all the time, consistently, if you look at the way I trade, even when I make bad trades, I don't lose much money. This is a very, very important note, right? When you lose money in these markets, you fight an uphill battle to get back there, not only financially, but also mentally. So I'm trying to avoid those pitfalls, and that's why I'll always lean on the safer side, and I'm glad to be able to say no to potentially very good positions just because I want to keep my capital safe. It's that long-term approach which is going to keep you in the game and keep your account growing steadily, predictably, but still very nicely and aggressively in the long term. It's the only thing that matters. I don't care how much your account grows in the next 3 months. If you grow it using stupid ideas like buying shitcoins like Shiba, you're not going to be able to keep those gains. It's just a fact of these markets. There are very, very few exceptions. You'd have to be, again, like I said in the last video, you'd have to be some level of crazy autistic to be able to, do crazy shit like that and then keep the profits. It's just, it's not going to happen unless you're gifted in some extremely rare way. And obviously most of us aren't. So if you want to see how I'm trading these markets in real time, you can follow these steps on screen to join 4Fly's VIP, and I'll give you all the information about it. But with that, I got to head off for this video. So if you have enjoyed this video, do me a favor, smash up the like, subscribe, tick the bell, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.